conversation with the board on the issue.
We're on.
Just audio, no video.
Just
Okay.
audio. Okay.
All right, so, did you provide these handouts?
Yes, I created them. That's what I said during mayor council. I created
Okay.
those documents.
So, maybe this is completely permissible. Was this provided in our packet?
No.
Not only get provided in our packet, but it's an actual agenda item that's been approved by staff.
I don't think I got it. Did I get one?
I just picked it up on the
No,
way out.
it's not. It was not in the packet because it would not be an agenda item. That's why I just gave it to Adam and I
This
talked about
was
it.
set out on chairs as a handout. And so is this reasonable that us as individual council members at a city council meeting put out handouts for the public to take?
I know of nothing that prohibits it. I mean, people can hand out things. One of the things, and I understand this has become an issue, is from my perspective, and there are not clear, absolute, bright line rules on this, but the agenda as presented to you is, in my opinion, a staff document. And so staff puts it together, staff decides what's on there. If there are things that you as council members want to distribute, lay them at the dais, set them on chairs. I think you can do that.
So is there any labeling that should occur? Like, some sort of disclaimer that this is, so-and-so council member's own opinion and not that of the city council?
What we would do, or what we've talked about with those, is just like we do with the public comments that get handed in, and just get labeled, added to the record, say distributed at meeting by Council Member Benson. Something, it just gets labeled like that.
But if it's going to be distributed out there, why would it not get distributed here for transparency and so forth?
Well, I don't have the ability to set agenda items, and I tried to bring this up last time, and I wasn't able to talk
Those
about it.
agenda items, he was just saying that you'd provide copies to us.
Yeah,
up here.
and there are more left.
Versus us have no idea what.
Yeah.
Cause
I didn't even hear about it. I was
Yeah,
walking by and people are picking it up, and I thought maybe somebody, put it in there.
Yeah, no, I think I mentioned at the beginning that I gave it to Adam and that I'd have copies. If I didn't, my apologies, there's more left, and I would have, except
Well, that's why we record and have video, so we'll know if you said it or not. But, so they were just sitting out here. There's components to this that are very, very misleading.
Would it be an option to talk about these can we add it to the agenda?
I'd love to, but again, I don't set the agenda.
But how does that work, Adam, if you could help me understand?
So if any council member would like to make an adjustment to the agenda, the advice from staff is you do it at the beginning of the meeting, or you do it kind of like you did in mayor council today, where you discuss something you would like to see on a future agenda, then staff will include it. So that's the preferred
Okay,
method.
so
That's
if we said, Adam, that we wanted to talk about this, would you vet this, and that would be the city's work, or we would all have to?
If you as a council directed me to go do some staff work on some documents provided by somebody else, yes, we would do that.
And then add it to agenda, would that be
If-
helpful?
Otherwise-
I can't direct Adam to spend, which was hours, to compile that type of data. I can't direct.
What I'm saying is
I'd just like to finish. I can't direct Adam as one member of council. It has to be the whole or majority of council to direct staff. So when those comment cards, for example, were not compiled or put in any sort of order, and staff would need direction to do that, I'm not able to do that. So that is why I compiled it. Now that said, if there are errors, if there are adjustments, if there's discussion, more than happy to talk about that in meeting.
Is that what this is
sorry.
regarding?
Can I answer? I'd just
Sorry,
like to, if I could address Councilmember Veach's question.
Thank you.
So the other way to do it is, at the beginning of every council meeting, you all adopt the agenda. I know a lot of times it gets kind of caveated as, oh, we're just deciding the consent agenda, but what you are in reality doing is accepting the agenda. You as a body are the only ones who can set that agenda. Staff, when we bring this to you, it is in essence a recommended
Proposal,
agenda, a proposal. At the beginning of the meeting, you set the agenda. So you could, at the beginning of a meeting, as a member of council, make make a motion to add something to the agenda if you so desired. It then would take, obviously, a second and then a majority for it to be added to the agenda.
So the problem I see, number one, is it's propaganda. It's somebody's own opinion, and I'm not gonna add propaganda items. If somebody wants to, if there's a item that's up for discussion at a work session that happens to correlate and you wanna be your own opinion, because this is what you're doing, is saying your own opinion, and then you wanna have your own opinion become a talking point and an agenda item, and I think that's completely inappropriate,
Right,
completely.
and I understand that, which is why when I talked to Soren, I just
And I
said.
think taking 10 or 15 minutes in mayor council report is not relevant either. I think that's getting a little bit.
Well,
we have
other
to sit
people
here
have
for
taken 10
listening
minutes,
to you
so
have a dissertation.
Yeah, here's where I'd leave it. If we want to discuss the veracity of any of these data, I'm happy to do it as an agendized item. If we'd like as a council to direct staff to come up with this data and to vet it, I'm happy with that.
Here's my concern. The lack of transparency in setting things out in the gallery without our knowledge or furnished other council members with it is not being honest.
Well, it's because she's got an agenda. She has an agenda.
Let me
to put
finish.
information out there.
It is somebody's opinion. If it's going through, quote, comment cards, if you're the only person doing it, it'd be like saying, I counted all the votes by myself, this is the number, and I'm gonna put it out there. That's not reliable, number one. Number two is, it's a small grouping of an 8,000 person city. And it's important if it's about public opinion, number one is A, to inform, not to disinform, and get a large opinion poll, not just 20 to 80 or even 100 cards. Because when that happens, it's violating the oath of office by basically trying to undermine the council as a whole.
That data was inside.
And that's a problem.
Your own report. I mean, James's.
But again, you're not hearing the point of, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
The people out there saw it. I wasn't furnished with it. I don't think Denny was. I think Matt got it later. I don't know about Maria.
I happened to come through that door and people were picking
That's a
up
problem. If I decided to put something that I believed in and throw it on every chair without discussing it with the council, I would be undermining the whole council and the staff. It would not be good.
I guess I will take part of the responsibility for that, because once Councilmember Benson sent those to me today, I could have made copies and set them at each of your locations.
Thank you, Adam.
Have to say I got overwhelmed with briefings for council members and then a work session running right to the end. So
I do think it sets a very bad precedent to have council members putting their own version of what facts are, and they are purely version of the facts that you are creating out there to the public. And if that's what you want to do, but I'm not gonna sully our council meeting up here with an agenda of your own opinions to discuss.
Yeah, last thing I'd say, and I know you want to speak, is just that if that's the case, why don't we have direct staff to simply collate those responses? That's all I'm looking for.
Sorry, I'm gonna go back to the initial question, process. Let's forget this happened. Going forward, I would love to know what is options for process that could happen. And I think this, with a clean slate, I really don't know. I would love that. And my second one is, like, Elisa, I would listen to yours, and you talked about wanting to listen and collaborate openly, not in one-on-one meetings, because it's the lack of trust. And I love that. And I think trust is something that is built. It is earned. And obviously this is the first time I've met you, but I would have loved that. And I would have hoped that you would have, trusted me with that. I get that. I'm asking, you've never met me. Please trust me with some information before a meeting. That said, I'd love a process going forward, because if you can't, I don't know how you build trust without trying first. So Adam, I guess I'll leave it to you as,
but I guess
what are options if you're not feeling heard to be able to put something on the agenda?
So again, there's a couple ways I can think of to do it. The first way is at a previous council meeting or in a work session is to get kind of a consensus of the council that you want to talk about something at a future meeting. That can be just a consensus. That could also be a vote of the council, kind of like we did on the work session item today in the council meeting, where a motion was made, seconded, and voted on, and we changed the agenda for the upcoming work session. The other way to do it, as I mentioned before, that I can think of, and maybe Soren or somebody has a broader knowledge base than me on different ways to do it, is at the beginning of the meeting. When we're doing the approval of the agenda, is a council member could make a motion to add something to the agenda. That's happened before. Normally it's something that is kind of, other people know is going to happen or is needed, and then that item can be added to the agenda at that time. Just as the exact same process as pulling something off of consent or adding something to consent, is you just say, we're gonna, I move to add agenda item number 20, subject blah, 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 blah. Again, it takes
A second and a vote? No.
Yes.
Well, I would say to be, and we've done this over the last 8 years I've been here 100 times. And you got to agree as a council, whether it's at a work session up here, if there's a particular topic you want to talk about, and then we direct staff of the type of information we want them to put together. Not a council member, but staff. Because that's the information that I would not have a problem looking at, as long as the council has directed them and that we agree that this topic needs to be vetted, because the staff has a lot of stuff they're doing. Right? I mean, we are producing all the stuff, all the variances, public works, new buildings getting built, et cetera, that if it's something that the council, at least 3 of us think is a worthy topic, then I think you specifically tell them what information you want them to vet, have them bring it, and then we can have that at a work session. That would make, and we've done that 100 times, but that would be, to me, the most appropriate way versus a council member bringing their own information to the table and saying, staff, vet my information. I'd rather say, staff, this is what we want you to vet, go figure it out and bring it back to us.
I think a legitimate question would be, does this council find value in the idea of spending staff time to collate those 120-something cards?
Collate in what regard?
I can speak to that at least. I'll answer the first question before you continue. I think some of the value, yes, it comes at a cost of having a staff do it, is that we all come with an open mind to a meeting. When we do too much research and you found something, right? You come with your bias building. And I think that, yes, there is a cost to it. And hi, Adam, we just met. I'd love you to do some work. But I think that's value. And I think our community wants that. Because for us to be unbiased, we have to let the city do their job. Sure. I don't know.
I would be more than happy to support that.
Okay. I'll make a motion then to add this to agenda and have Adam vet it.
Wait, what? No.
No?
I mean, we're going the exact opposite of what we normally would do, which I've done 100 times, is we're not gonna, I don't think we should be taking information that council people have done.
Sorry, not vet this information. I will amend that. Just to look into how the 100 out of the 800 or 8,000, how that shook out, and maybe giving us your opinion if we need to ask more from our community or if 100 was enough.
Sure. I guess, so on that particular issue, I think it's important to know that we did not conduct a survey. We asked for public comment. Right? So that was one of the things that I think is challenging with trying to collate and quantify those numbers, because we didn't, we have done surveys on other issues. Sure. And so when you go out and you do a survey, you ask the public a specific, kind of yes, no, or, hey, what's your preferred option A, B, C, or D? In this case, that was not what we were directed to do, nor did we do. What we did is we went and got public comment, and one of the forums for providing public comment was in a written form. So it's very difficult, and James did do some summary. It's at the beginning, I think, of both appendixes that had all those comments. But some people asked us questions. Some people, gave us a very clear, we hate Orono's idea or we love Orono's idea. But the challenge with trying to put those into some kind of statistics.
Yeah.
Right. If the goal at the beginning was to do some kind of quantitative analysis, then I guess I would say I would have done it completely differently.
Even if, and at 100, even if it was all 100 residents and you have 8,500 people.
Sure.
The sample is so small to be meaningless. I could go out and find 40 of my friends in Orono to write them. Is that a sample of the population, and we'll just take those 40 people that say yes to everything?
And then the question becomes, for what purpose
That
did we
becomes a
ask the
talking
comment
point for
cards?
some.
Why did we ask the
And
comment cards? That's the
again,
question.
Well, that's the problem. We've done
When
surveys
it-
before over the years when I've been here. And when we go out for community-wide surveys, we get like 300 people who return them.
Yeah,
So
and
now
what-
we're up, okay, so now we've got, 2%, 3%? 4%. And that's when you actually spend money and time to do stuff, and then you gotta figure out what kind of wording you wanna do. Now we're using up a whole bunch of staff time, and it's like the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing, but expecting different results.
Here's what I'd like to do, just to move forward. I think I think the fire committee should get together with staff. We have lots of things to talk about. One of those things is, ask us for a recommendation of what information is important to get out there and what staff time to use it, because we have questions, continued questions about our numbers, James, right? We have questions about, a lot of things, but give us a chance to make a recommendation,
Which I
and
think
then we
is a
can
great idea,
expand
yeah.
on that, so we have.
I love that
That's a
idea,
great
Matt.
idea.
a
How about if we're able to talk before the next meeting and we add what we've thought are, what we're hearing and the needs of, I know Kelly Grady provided some great questions, and I asked her, hey, if those are the questions, will you email me them, please?
right.
And you and I meet before then,
Yep.
and then present what we think the needs and decide how to
And then we can
use
review it.
resources.
We can then get together, because on our that committee is Adam and, Ron comes sometimes.
James.
And James, right? And so we can get their staff feedback from what they're hearing from their preview.
Which is nice, because with the two of you, which is why we have committees, and it gives you the ability offline and off council meetings to dig into all the details with knowledgeable people and get to some conclusions, which we respect all the knowledge.
And then we
that you'd
share
like to bring
what
that
we
to us.
think, and then
Okay.
if we miss something, then we can always modify it. So that's my first
Okay,
one. Okay, secondly, with respect to this information, I went through this data, and you can interpret, if somebody asks maybe a question that makes you feel like they're not supportive, they're being added into one bucket. And I've done these, and this is not fair. And then with respect to the list, and this is why I objected about reviewing what was provided there, because under the committees, according to what was put out there, is Alyssa Benson is on no committees, but she didn't put all the committees on there because you are in committees, right?
It's not an exhaustive list. I never said it was. I
You
said
didn't
I
say
was,
it wasn't.
I was
What
talking.
what this makes it look like is that you're on no committees, and that is, you talk about transparency. This is misleading. It is unfair to all of us here, because it makes it look like you're not on any committees, and you are. But that being said, I want to go back to my original concern. If council members can put their own opinion, what I want is separation between something that is a city document and the sole opinion not vetted by staff or provided to council. I want a stamp or a requirement, and if next meeting I need to make a motion that any handouts have certain language, maybe Soren, you could help me with language that is, reasonable.
A disclosure.
A disclosure that's clear to everybody that this is my propaganda and it's my sole opinion, in no way reflects the official position of the city of Orono or any of its council members, only me. Now, what I'd really like, instead of putting out handouts, is to say as a council member, hey, go to my website and get this information. Then everyone knows where it's coming from. But if someone's gonna do this, let's find a way to make it clear to the public for purposes of transparency that this is not an official or even agreed upon document.
Yeah.
You guys control each other, you work as a group, if that's what you want to do.
If that's a motion, I would second it.
Well, should
If
the
we
motion
can-
include the language, or?
Yes.
Or we can direct staff to bring language back at your next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need a motion, or do you want a motion for that?
If
I would say that's a good one, just to direct staff,
It'd be nice if there's a motion, just so that it's clear that we're
Okay.
acting on
motion to
council's
direct
behalf.
staff.
Okay,
I'll second it.
I gotta give it.
Oh, you just did.
Oh, is that a good enough for one?
No, I was gonna ask you to
Yeah,
clarify.
okay, yeah, okay, so I have a motion to direct staff to prepare, some language on any, that is required by any council member on any handout that they provide that isn't, or whatever.
You want to say written communication, just the same as everything else we do?
Just like a
Right?
handout, because
At a
what someone
council,
does on their
any
own
written
website
handout
true.
at a
Yeah,
council meeting.
okay.
So any written
That's what I
handout
hear
at a
you.
council meeting,
suggesting.
how's that?
Has some kind of language that says all the things you wanted it to say.
I mean,
So you
what I hear you saying is that if an individual hands out documents at a meeting, in a setting where it is the council as a whole acting, and there's packets and there's other things that have been vetted by staff, that what you want it to be clear is that this is not a council-produced document, not a staff-produced document, but an individual-produced document, so that ownership of the document is clear. Is that a fair?
And prior to being handed out, that all council members are provided a copy. So
Basically-
if the council isn't given a copy, then you can't put it out, you have to wait till next time.
Are you okay with that?
And the disclosure should say something like,
I think Elisa's okay with
No,
that.
yeah, I can.
this
okay.
could not be considered factual information, because
I
if
see
it's
where it's
not
going.
properly
I'm fine with
vetted
this.
by staff or
Protect
council,
everyone.
Right.
hasn't been vetted.
That's right, so,
You know, so-
that's my motion to create some language to,
You know, we can't promise
To put on the handout.
the accuracy of the information. It becomes simply an opinion.
that's right. So you'll put some, is that enough?
Yeah, I think so.
And you seconded it, right?
I did
Okay,
earlier.
seconded, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
That's 5-0.
Okay, now,
Do we have to make a motion about you and me talking and we put that on the agenda?
nope,
No,
no,
you
you're on
guys
the
just
committee,
need-
that's
can
We
just
don't
do
need
that.
any motion for that, yep.
Thank
You
you.
just can't talk about this fire stuff with anybody else on the council
Got it.
that we talk about.
Okay, we all done?
Yeah, thank you.
All done? Everybody good? Motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned.